starting with the revenue, we had a target of 6.584 trillion naira in 2025 as our target, and we collected a total of 7.277 trillion from January to December 2025. Let me point out that the figure in the executive summary is erroneous. It is the figure in the main document that is correct. It is 7.277 trillion that was generated from January to December. That's the figure you have in the main document that was given. This performance indicates that we had a positive variance, or we surpassed our target by 10.24% when we compared it with what we had in the same period last year. We collected over 674.10 billion. And this performance is also guided by some of the following factors which, shaped what we did. The first one is that the excise on telecom services, which has been suspended since 2023, remain the same. We still did not collect excise on telecom services. Also, the green tax remains suspended. The green tax was approved in 2023. It remains suspended. It was not until the tariff amendment that was given to us in April this year that we introduced green tax with effect from last week. With just about 1 week in the implementation of that. We also have a number of initiatives by the President to support different sectors of the economy. The first one is in the healthcare delivery sector to ensure to improve access to healthcare delivery. So, fiscal policy measures targeted at increasing local production of healthcare products enjoys waivers and concessions. The same is the presidential initiative for compressed natural gas. So, CNG vehicles and electric vehicles also had duty concession during the year 2025. But the biggest of the mitigating factors was the implementation of the IDE, the Import Duty Exemption Certificate, which is under VAT order Schedule 2 of the Customs External Tariff. In 2025, a total of 34,538 billion worth of imports, which comprises 56.40 petroleum products, 40.52 military imports, and 3.08 of other items were given various kinds of exemptions and waivers during the year. And then we also discovered that in 2025-2026, only 4 out of 11 accessible products provided for under Schedule 5 were under excise control. Potentially, this reduced revenue expectation by as much as 28.6%. Of course, we know that towards the last quarter of last year, the escalating crisis in the Middle East affected importation of strategic high revenue yielding products, especially wheat, last year. So from there we move to the capital expenditure. We had a full budget expenditure of 1.132 billion for 2025 budgets. And out of this, the actual receipts that came into the coffers of Nigerian Customs Service was 808.86 billion naira, or in percentage terms, 71.42%. This was the actual that we got between January and December 2025. You might wish to recollect that there were 2 funding portfolios of Nigerian Customs Service in 2025. Between January and August, between January and July, we grew our funding 47% cost of collection, but from August, we got an approval and the support for the National Assembly to commence 4% FOB. we want to put it on record that the support that we got from the National Assembly was very, very instrumental, and we thank you for this. Now, this receipt was expended as follows. Personnel costs, 116.78 billion, overhead costs, 125.20 billion, capital costs from September 2025 to last month, 143.62 billion, and then the fees that we paid the concessionaire, 205.54 billion. Total is 591.14 billion. Moving to 2026, approved revenue tariffs under the
before we move to 2026, other colleagues, you have said
our guests, the controller of customs. I would like you to correct me if I am wrong, but from what I see here in page 3, sir. Page 3, Nigeria Customs Service, page 3, 1.2, expenditure performance of January to December 2025. It says here, the services approved expenditure budgets for the 2025 budget year was one.
Is it the summary? Is it the summary?
This
Okay, the booklet.
yeah, the booklet, page 3. Sorry. That's the services approved expenditure budget for the 2025 budget year was 1.132 trillion, of which 81.65 billion or 71.67% was in the actual receipts as the total inflows for the period under review. My question remains, is the controller telling us that the total expenditure made in 2025 is 1.132 trillion, or is he saying that it is 881.65 billion, so that we will be clear on what was expended for 2025? That's question 1. Then if you go down to the personnel cost, the overhead cost, the capital cost, and then concessionary fees, I would like the controller to highlight what concessionary fees mean. Concessionary fees. I believe the solution. So let him educate us, because we are asking from layman's perspective. I'm a layman. What concessionary fees?
you just go ahead and explain so that it can be clear to members.
Thank you. Concessionary fees, personnel and overhead, you will get here 591.14 billion. Now, if you try to reconcile 1.132 trillion with 881.65 billion, and then 591.14 billion, it doesn't align.
Okay,
I would like you to guide us on how to reconcile this so that we can all be on the same page. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. That is a projection. We approve it. So he is not telling us that out of this what we approved for him, they were unable to get it. They got 881.65. So what I expect him to answer now is the spending. But all this one is correct. And telling us now. So the explanation is what I expect you to ask him to explain. It is the house that approved this for him. This committee and the tenant. So So now, he said they were unable to get it, but they got 881. So now,
Let him
we
explain.
should upgrade the balance.
Thank you. That's the same question I'm asking.
Yes.
Reconcile the account.
That balance we should
Those figures. The budget for 2025 was predicated on a funding system that is called 4% cost of collection. It is based on FOB. So when we are making the budget projection, we use that, and that is what is provided for under the Customs Act. But we are going to year from January to July before we can get that really implemented. We still rely on 7% cost of collection in 2025 up until CISS, up until August. So it was only until in August that we started the 4% FOB. So this is what explains the variance between what was approved for us as projection and what we got to implement. The concessionary fees, when we were implementing the 7% cost of collection, concessionaire fees was paid under the CISS account domiciled in the Ministry of Finance and the CBN. So they are responsible because the fees go directly into that account and their money for the services was paid. But under the new act, CSIS account was abolished and the responsibility for payment of concessionaire fees was now transferred to the Nigerian Customs Service, and this fee is now supposed to be paid under what we collect in the 4% cost of collection. So from the 4% cost of collection FOB, we set aside a percentage, 25%, we set aside ab initio for us to meet the obligations of the concessionaire under the Act. Thank you. 7.4 trillion. And this consists of the following.
colleagues, let us listen very well to this.
0.074 trillion. Out of this, we expect 5.542 trillion in federation accounts, 1.491 trillion in non-federation accounts, 2.273 trillion for import VAT, and 1.26 trillion for 4% FOB. The objectives and strategies to improve revenue in 2026 are stated. I'll just go through some of them. Number one, we still continue to leverage technology. The Unified Customs Information System, which we call Bodogu, is now up and running and is running very well. It's now has overcome all the existing problems that it has, and we believe that it will provide us the needed platform for robust revenue collection. We have also launched a number of revenue recovery interventions, particularly through our modernized post-clearance audit system, which has taken root and has undergone remarkable transformation under the tutelage of IMF, the World Bank, and the World Customs Organization. So through that, we are able to carry out real-time system audits to take a second look at all declarations that are made on the Customs Trade portal, and through it, we continue to generate revenue, we continue to recover revenue on a daily basis. Trade facilitation, we have launched initiatives in 2024 which have now come fully on steam. In 2026, this includes the Authorized Economic Operator Program and the Advanced Drilling Program, and collectively they are boosting our revenue. Our anti-smuggling operations are also fully on ground, alongside with stakeholder engagement. We have a number of assumptions which we believe will affect the implementation of the budget. The first one are fiscal policy measures. We have the new excise tariff, which has been provided for us in the 2026 fiscal policy. we believe that these measures will increase revenue collection. However, conversely, during the same tariff measures that are given to us in April this year, tariff on vehicles and levies on vehicles have been reduced significantly. So we believe that this is also something that may negatively.
Please can you say this again for the media to carry? People have been talking about tariff increment, so now the tariff has been reduced.
There is the pressure on government to review those tariffs on
Can you enlighten us the percentage of reduction so that our members can know? The constituents are making vehicles.
If they talk, you listen. Talk to the enter.
This is the achieve. Can you give us the reduction in tariff?
Thank you, Chairman. For the used vehicles, the levy has been reduced from 15% to 5%. And for the brand new vehicles, the levy has been reduced from 20% to 10%.
Oh. I want the general public to know that the Nigerian government is doing something good for the public. That's why I think you should repeat it. People have been clamoring for this and it has happened. So we should plan for the government of the federation.
Mr. Chairman,
so we should commend the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu for doing this for the public.
Controller General of Customs and His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, for the 5% reduction. Then again, my question is paradoxical. If 5% has been reduced from the fee that is paid when you import goods into the country, why then do people still move their goods to Cotonou? Why then do people still move their vehicles to Lomé? Why then do people still smuggle their goods into the country? Please find out, Mr. Chairman, let the Controller General tell us if this particular policy has been gazetted. Honorable Member, please, calm down and let us do this. Find out if this particular policy has been gazetted, if it has been implemented, because I am aware that a lot of importers are discouraged to bring in their goods into the country because of the high tariffs. Thank you very much.
And people will go into importation before they come, at least it takes some months. And for those who are having their goods on ground now, if it is gazetted, definitely they will be affected. It's going to be difficult. It didn't say 9%, it said 15%. 15 and 5. So you should know this government has really helped. And then let us end it there. All we need to do is say thank you, Baba.
It is important that we put this in proper perspectives. Implementation of fiscal policy measures is the mandate of the Nigerian Customs Service under the supervision of Federal Ministry of Finance. Periodically, we undertake reviews and we give advice through the ministry. And this is what has led to some of these major policies that we have talked about. There are more of them. I only mentioned the one of tariff because this is going to be an obvious reduction in the revenue that we expect. A number of the other initiatives that have been launched by President Bola Tinubu since 2024 are still extant and we are still implementing them. There are more important ones that affect the economy. When subsidies were removed in the economy, there were issues regarding public transportation. And this is what led to the initiative of the CNG, the presidential initiative of CNG. This is still continuing. And you will notice that while I was talking about the revenue that we considered in 2025. In terms of size, the one on CNG is the second biggest. It comes only after the military. The initiative on health, providing accessible health facilities to Nigeria is also continuing. The customs is still implementing that particular initiative. You'll remember that sometimes in 2024, duties on essential food items were completely suspended for a period of 6 months. So some of these initiatives do come once in a while as fiscal policies to complement strategic implementation of certain economic programs. Let me assure Honorable Masters that fiscal policies once in a while are necessary to tinker, some areas, some developments within the economy. We observe, we make our observations, we make reports, we study the trends, and based on that, we make our recommendations to government. This particular one has been gazetted, and the implementation date has been fixed for 1st of May 2026. Our systems have accordingly been adjusted, and we have started implementation as far back as May 2026. So let me continue with 21 billion, 421.70 billion. Overhead costs are 307.77 billion. And capital costs are 565.93 billion. Mr. Chairman, I'm continuing with the executive summary. And I'm on page 9. I'm talking about the funds we expect from our budget and the way it will be expended. Now, there are some major highlights which I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable Committee to. The first is the personnel cost. We have a nominal roll of 15,669 personnel, and hopefully before the end of the year, we are expecting 3,927 to join us. So the estimated cost for personnel, as stated, will be 421.7 billion. That accounts for about 32.55% of our expenditure. Out of this, 355.39 billion is projected for salaries and allowances. 15.16 billion is provided for employers' contribution under the National Pension Scheme. 15.16 billion is provided for 5.25 employers' contribution to NHIS. 13.23 billion is provision for payment of annual group life and backlog insurance, and 6.60 billion is for statutory payments of NSITF and ITF. Next is overhead costs. An estimate of 307.77 billion is for day-to-day administrative expenses of the service, and this is further detailed as follows: 20 billion for staff loans and advances, 8.62 billion for general maintenance services of buildings, plants, generators, aircraft, seaboats, motor vehicles, office equipment across all our zones and area commands, 6 billion for utilities, materials, and supplies of office equipment, consumables of computers, printing of security and non-security documents, for training for uniform and accoutrements. 24 billion is provision for travels and transport general, 7.72 billion for fueling of vehicles and generators, 8 billion for training and retraining of officers, 210.64 billion set aside for financial and miscellaneous services, 6.32 billion for consulting professionals and some other associated services. And for capital expenditure, what we are presenting in this budget is 681.69 billion. And out of this, proposed work will be 74.31 billion, supplies will be 33.57 billion. For works that are ongoing under the current budget will be 407.87 billion. you will notice that the preponderance of our emphasis is for us to complete works that are already ongoing. Ongoing supplies 164.7 billion and liabilities 1.23 billion. We have the detailed breakdown of the expenditure for personnel, overhead, and capital costs are outlined in Appendices 1, 2, and 3, respectively, of the main reports. I thank you most respectfully for the understanding that you have shown over the years, and it is my prayer that the House of Representatives, through this honorable committee, will consider and approve this budget presentation. Thank you.
Mr. President, the local duty board, the police duty board, the bomb duty board, even the areas around my community that are access to international water, either we are ignoring it or what is the status for today. Then, aside that, as part of your expedition, when I go to as part of your expedition, you put in a provision for staff loan and advances. Is there any provision for its recovery? And if there is, how staff loan, the loan, is there any provision for its recovery? If yes, how much was recovered that is contained in the budget of 2026? Recovery, I know that it's not a one-off item.
1 minute more.
It's an item that has been there. So how much of the previous loan have you recovered and where is it in the budget of 2026? Thank you.
Honorable,
I guess mine is about, mainly about commendation. I want to commend the city customs for the way they have been able to transform the customs of Nigeria so far. And of course, this is why Mr. President also thought in his own wisdom to extend your tenure by another 6 months. So I'm commending you for all that you have been doing. I also want to commend you for the recruitment exercise that we had the last time. A lot of our constituents applied, so we also need to know the status of this tenure process. Thank you.
Let me join Honorable Castellan in commending the customs on their presentations. This is not the first time we are scrutinizing their budget and passing it. Having gone through the presentations, I want to move that we adopt and approve what has been presented to us as a working document to be presented on Wednesday for the House of Education. Mr. Chairman, the police are so moved.
Thank you very much. I represent the fabulous people of Bonny Digimar people.
We have questions to ask Mr.
Mr. Chairman, with all joy in my heart to second the motion as moved by Honorable Jim. I beg to second, Mr. Chairman.
For want of time, I haven't exhausted every deliberation